Do you ever feel like you're doing all of the healing work to change your relationship life, to have your soulmate, you're having the therapy, you're working on your attachment wounding, but actually nothing is changing and you feel like you're not being seen, you're not being chosen? It's actually really incredibly lonely and like you are just not enough. Well, I completely understand how you feel because this has been my entire life healing this attachment wounding. It took me 37 years to sort it out so that I could have a loving, secure relationship with my now husband, which we've been together for 7 years. And I also realized that this wasn't just romantic love. It followed me in every type of love, this early attachment wounding. It followed me in my relationship with money when I became an entrepreneur. It followed me in friendship, in sisterhood, in my family, freaking everywhere. I would get caught in the loop of doing all of the things to kind of force it to happen because I'm a massive action taker, just like you guys. Okay, I'm doing all of the things. Why is it not working? Well, what I'm going to talk about today in this video is something that I wish people would talk about way more, is the 7 shadows that you're doing right now that's impacting your frequency so you are not attracting what you desire. Your nervous system right now is filtering everything based on your belief systems, based on how safe you feel. And literally, what you desire could be here in this present moment, but you would not be able to see it. Let me give you an example. I use this a lot with my clients. I've been helping people around the world for 5.5 years to break these relationship patterns. And this is one of my favorite examples. So, my husband used to work right opposite me. We were in the same building for about a year and a half before we actually even got together. And what was happening here was I was still in a frequency of chasing other people, anxious about a guy that wasn't choosing me. And I would come into work and I'd be thinking about him all the time. And I just would not even notice him because my husband's much more secure in himself. He's much healthier. But I was vibrating at a frequency which was much lower, which was full of shame and of fear and sadness and grief because this relationship that was around me at the time was triggering so much of my early childhood wounding where I didn't feel safe to be seen. I didn't feel safe to play. I didn't feel safe to rest. I didn't feel safe to receive because I had a narcissistic father who was very explosive. So, as a sensitive, intuitive little girl, I learned to tune into him and what does this guy need? So he's calm. And I would receive love from him sometimes when I would be really good and when I would be performing really well, which is what a lot of us that have anxious attachment have got that from. Because we got conditional love when we were doing things. We didn't just get love for being who we are. So I didn't even see my husband. My nervous system was filtering him out until I really was doing the work on myself. So I had therapy and things, by the way, still didn't see him. It was only when I started to really help my inner child let go of these other relationships, let go of my shadow patterns, that I was able to almost by magic see this guy that had always been there. So you right now are filtering out opportunities for your love. You do not have to wait. You just have to align your energy, your vibration to a higher level of consciousness. So, if you like a healthier, more secure version of love, you have everything you need to do that within you right now. The purpose of this video is I want to take you through 7 things that I see with clients that I've been helping over the last 5.5 years in my own journey as well. The hilarious thing is, even though I teach this, even though I help people, I totally didn't see how the patterns I had with men when I was 37 was still showing up in my life, in friendship, in family, in every relationship I ever had. So that meant I cleaned it up in one area, but I still had a lot of anxiousness about relationships because it wasn't cleaned up in all areas. So I really want to help you to clear this from your root. And so you can actually have relationships that are reciprocal, where they give what you give. So that you give and you receive. It is balanced, okay? And you are no longer like a magnet for people that are, more narcissistic or are more likely to take from you. You probably done a load of healing right now. So you are aware that you have anxious attachment. Otherwise, you wouldn't have picked up this video. So you kind of know that it comes from those early years, like I explained with my dad. So your nervous system, your little body, your little brain, when it's developing from 0 to 7, it's taking in all this information all of the time, right? As like, oh, okay, oh, he's angry, so let me do this. Oh, he doesn't want to see me because I'm so annoying for him, and let me just hide away. It's learned all these things on repetition again and again and again and again. That's what wired you up. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that that's what you saw again and again and again and again. You created this whole survival personality, which is the anxious attachment, to be able to relate to others, to belong, to try and get your love back, even though what you've been getting up to this point is the crumbs and feeling really frustrated about it. So here are 7 things that I would love for you to journal on. You can also comment below and share with us as a community, because when we see and share our patterns, we kind of make them way more normal because they're not embarrassing. It's not you, by the way, it's just an energy. It's just an energy of fear of this younger child who lives within you. So the first thing, and this one sometimes can trigger people, but we're going to be really brave and face these things, all right? So we're looking at these shadows, these little corners in our unconscious mind, because that is what is creating our current reality. Because if it wasn't there, you would be seeing the thing, you would be seeing your next step. You do not need some magic thing to get you the guy. You just have to align your energy, okay? So number one, where are you still wanting to be chosen by others, but you're not choosing yourself because you are betraying yourself in some way or abandoning yourself in some way? Let me give you some examples of the crazy stuff that I have done when I was embodying this energy. Even though I'd really cleaned up so much of my people pleasing, even though I'd cleaned up so much of my anxious attachment behaviors, especially after I'd fallen in love with my husband, I was like, oh, I'm cured. So I wasn't cured. The kind of things I would do is that I would just know that somebody would be really upset if I didn't go to a certain event. I really didn't want to go. It was too late. It just wasn't my thing. It was too loud, but I would go to this event, even though I didn't want to. The other ways I'd betray myself is that I would still have relationships where I would give more than I receive just to keep the peace, just to keep the harmony, just so I could feel like, oh, I'm all healed, like I don't have arguments in relationships or something. So that was another way I was betraying myself. A big one is not taking care of your physical body. So what you're eating. I've spent so much of my life emotionally eating because I have no energy, because I've been giving it to so many other people, that's why I'm actually eating. There's a reason for it. I'm betraying myself by emotionally eating or numbing in some way because I'm like putting up with things that don't feel good to me, staying in relationships that are mildly abusive, even a little bit, where it feels unsafe to be you, it feels unsafe to be seen, it feels unsafe to rest, it feels unsafe to be yourself. Anything like that, it's really noticing, where am I waiting for others to choose me, but I am actually not choosing myself, and I am actually betraying and abandoning myself. Other ways that we betray and abandon ourselves is overworking. That's a really big one for people that give a lot. Anxiously attached people can be really about achievement and earning love. So overwork can be a really big area as well. We have priorities like our health or falling in love, but we're not making that a priority. We're putting going to these functions or keeping the peace, keeping everybody together as a priority. These things are you not choosing yourself. So on a piece of paper, write about how you would like someone to choose you and ask yourself, honestly, are you doing that for yourself? The love that you're seeking from somebody else, are you actually giving that to yourself? So that's really important, because self-abandonment and self-betrayal is very sneaky because it has been going on since you were a child. It's so in the fabric of your personality that you're not even realizing that you're doing it. Number 2 is doing an audit of the relationships in your life. I'm talking every single relationship. Everything is kind of a relationship. So even money is a relationship. So with your any work people in your life, any, mentors that you're working with, any managers, any friends, any school friends, college friends, all the different type of friends, whoever they are, family members that you spend time with, and really going through and going, where is there an imbalance here? So you can just do what they do. You don't have to overgive. So if they don't really call you that often or message you, you can also not really message them. If you feel resentful about it, if you are feeling frustrated with your life and not feeling like you're being chosen, then possibly you are feeling resentful when you are doing these things, where you are giving more than you are receiving. The reason why this is really important is because you're still sending the universe the message that I'm less worthy than these people. Everybody else is more worthy than me. This is at an energetic level. Your energy is your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, right? So what we're really trying to drill in with this list of journaling prompts is, what are some of the actions that you're doing? What are some of the beliefs? What are some of the feelings that you're having that are pointing towards a misalignment to where you are going? We are going into the year of Fire Horse, and everybody on Instagram is talking about this like it's going to be some magic trick. But Fire Horse energy is going to amplify and push you in the direction of your energy. So if you are still in survival patterns like this list that I'm going through, this is showing you what needs to be shared. This is showing you what needs to be cleaned up. So that's why this is so important, like really facing yourself in the mirror. Like when I do this work, when I look at my crazy stuff I do not judge myself. I do not talk to myself badly. That's going back to number one, self-abandonment and self-betrayal. Are you talking to yourself badly? Are you treating your body badly? Are you ignoring your emotions? Are you numbing yourself instead of actually facing your sadness, your shame? That is self-betrayal and abandonment. And then you're saying, oh, but you know what? I really want love. But the thing is, you are not a match for the love that you desire because you are not giving that to yourself. Until I gave myself the love that I wanted from a man, I literally could not see him and he literally could not see me. And we were right next to each other. Right? That's why this is so, so important. And to do it with compassion and love, and to know that this is just what your nervous system has learned to do since you were really, really young to survive your environment. It's not bad or anything, it's actually really protective. It got you love, it got you belonging, it got you a tribe. It was so, so helpful. But now it's actually stopping you from where you want to go. Do that audit of your relationships and then do the work so those relationships get balanced. Either you got to leave some relationships, either you got to reciprocate, or you got to start discussing your needs and your desires in relationships. This is something I was absolutely terrified of doing. And I certainly, for a good reason, because my family of origin, if I was like, yeah, you know what, I really need you guys to do this, they would just have a go at me. I would not get that. So I learned to suppress my needs. So when I got into a healthy relationship with my husband, who is safe, he is the same person every single day, I still found it very hard to tell him how I felt and what I needed. This is the thing that nobody talks about. When you manifest love, you can push that love away because it doesn't feel safe in the body. So that's another shadow thing where we can actually run away from the love that we desire. That's another thing that the nervous system actually does, which is why it's really important to tidy up the relationships around you. Remove the ones that are really stressing you out and that you don't need to have in your life, and learn to have boundaries with the ones that you do have in your life, that you want to keep in your life. Learning to have boundaries to protect your energy. Your energy is so important. It is creating your frequency, which is attracting your life to you right now. That's how important it is. So when you are just keeping the peace and you're ignoring your needs and all of these things, everybody else is happy, but you're not getting the life that you actually want. So that doesn't work. Number three, now for soul aligned love, not a trauma bond, for soul aligned love, they are going to see you and know it's you because of your authentic frequency, because you're being your true self. When I finally saw my husband and he saw me, it's because I was being fully my authentic self. I was not shrinking myself. I was not being who he wanted me to be. I was truly myself. And I also was not chasing after him. I was not going into any of my like anxious attachment patterns. I was totally in my power and in my center. And therefore, he could recognize me and I could recognize him. And otherwise, we just wouldn't be a match for each other. So, your authenticity is so, so important. So, with that in mind, kind of leading from the last question, where in your life are you shrinking your energy? Where are you not being your authentic self? Where are you holding yourself back? Because that is dimming your frequency. I remember years ago when I was single for forever, I was that last one that got married and got together with someone. But I had certain people around me at that time, women, that if I got attention when we were out, say, from a man and they didn't, they would get really upset and they would get triggered. And they wanted all the attention because of that early programming of being almost anticipating other people's needs, knowing when they got upset, trying to keep the peace, trying to keep it calm. I very unconsciously, I would realize that they were getting upset and I would shrink my energy. So really think about who in your life do you shrink yourself for? Because when you're just shrinking it for that one person, but then you're trying to amplify it later, it doesn't really work. You've got to be that person with everybody, right? So it's actually hilarious that I got together with somebody when everybody else was already with someone. In my head, I wasn't going to upset anybody by going next. This is all very unconscious, but that's what happened. It was only then that I got together with someone. I didn't want anyone to feel bad like I did. It was fine for me to feel bad and feeling like I was less than. Who in your life are you putting on a pedestal so that you are doing that shrinking? As in, they're better than you, they're more worthy, because that can also cause you to shrink your energy and also for them to have power over you. So you may even shrink your energy because of your family. They don't want you to be attractive or they don't want you to say what you think. And that means when you do that and you're not really yourself, then you're not putting that out into the world and your guy or your clients or whatever you want to call in, they can't see you, they can't feel you because you are playing yourself down. You're making yourself small. I have literally made myself less attractive to please people. I have made myself less desirable for not consciously, but because I could feel that somebody would be getting upset with me for that, for being in my light, for being in my power. So I would shrink it. And this was terrible when I had a business and creating lots of success, helping people all around the world, and then people getting upset with me. Because anxious attachment is we are anxious about relationships. That's not just with men, that's absolutely with everyone. So if you clean this up, and become more secure in all of these areas, then your frequency is going to go up and you're going to meet that person so quickly. You're going to collapse time because you're thinking and you're feeling and you're acting different. You're thinking, I'm worthy of love. You're thinking, I'm no longer going to just accept the bare minimum from people. I'm going to have balanced relationships. You're thinking, I deserve a higher standard of relationship. You are feeling more empowered. You are feeling free. You're not feeling like the traumatized little kid that's less than everybody else because she didn't have a safe environment. That's not your vibe anymore because you've made your peace with it. We talk about self-care so much, right? This is not about a face mask. This is a daily practice of what do I feel? How can I be there for myself emotionally? What am I feeling? What do I need? Everything I'm talking about here, to your nervous system, to your emotional self, your inner child, all of these patterns in my community, it ends with me. You're finding this really helpful. Come in because we do this work together. All the details are in the notes. When you start to make some of these changes, balancing your relationships, no longer shrinking, looking at where you're taking crumbs and sorting that out, and being really honest with yourself and choosing yourself every single day with your actions and your behavior. When you start doing that, that's actually going to make your nervous system feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's actually safer for you to betray and abandon yourself. It actually feels better for you. It's going to feel a little bit like you're dying. It's going to feel like you're running a marathon. It's going to feel really uncomfortable. That doesn't mean it's wrong. That's just because your nervous system had repetition after repetition after repetition of that self-betrayal and that self-abandonment. That so you have to repeat it again and again and again that I no longer abandon myself. I no longer betray myself. I choose myself every single day. I am in relationships with people that give back to me. What happens is when you are on this journey and you start to clean these things up, there's like a void. You're quite lonely because if you built a whole world on this identity, the relationships are quite unhealthy. When I was going through romantic shifts and I took away all the guys that were situationships or weren't the right ones, I did feel really lonely without them. It was better to have a hug from them than not have a hug at all. And that was a real grieving process that felt really lonely. But in that loneliness, in that space, I was able to find out, what do I really want in someone? What do I really desire? It's hard moving away from the unhealthy love, but it's creating space for what you do desire. When I started to realize that, oh, the relationships in my life are actually making me feel really unsafe, they don't feel balanced, there's been a void of not having clients that were maybe more aligned with that previous version of me that was very overgiving, or friends that were more aligned with that version of me, and this version of me is not really for them because of where they're at their journey. There is that void and that space, and that's really uncomfortable for somebody that has had childhood trauma, and loneliness can be so activating and so scary. So you have to find the tools that work for you to really comfort your younger self. I have a teddy bear in my bed when I've been going through this journey, and that inner child is really feeling lonely. I will hug that teddy bear. And I did have a cat who was like my emotional support cat, but she died last year, and she was amazing for my loneliness. Get an animal because they're so great at giving you unconditional love, and they give so much to you, and you just have to feed them and love them back. It's just great. So that can be really healing. Number four. Oh, this one was a bad one. It's emotional addiction. When you have grown up in a unpredictable environment as a young child, you are learning to scan your environment like any animal would for danger. So you get so used to emotional turbulence, that hormone roller coaster within your own body, and then as an adult, even when you are not in that environment anymore, you are recreating it. I do a job that I love. And I'd be sitting in my front room. Everything is perfect. I have the most serene, amazing garden. It's fabulous. And I'm sitting there and I'm terrified as F. I am creating scenarios. I'm thinking about relationships. I'm getting anxious about work things. I am addicted to feeling unsafe. I'm addicted to looking for danger. I'm addicted to thinking about every single person I know and whether they might be upset with me. I had to become so aware of the pattern that I was in, where I was addicted to these emotions of shame, these emotions of fear, these emotions of anxiety. This has just been a pattern since I was a little girl. It was just very, very normal. Anxious all the time because of that pattern. I didn't realize I wasn't doing it consciously, but almost somewhere in my energetic field, I was literally thinking of every single person that I knew and if they were okay with me. And as I was changing and evolving, they weren't. And I could feel that energetically, being quite sensitive. And that was just playing havoc in my body. So, learning how to feel safe in the present moment and turning those patterns off, almost just observing yourself and seeing what you're doing. It will look different for every single person. And going, okay, this is so interesting. My mind just went, it was worrying about that person, and then it was doing this. Basically, coming out of your body, it's thinking about everybody else and it's ignoring your own emotions. So, your own emotion might be that you feel feeling shame or you're feeling fear. Your nervous system is like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. You're normally so stressed all the time. I'm going to make up a reason for you to be stressed right now. This is where somatic work is so important. Often I'll just lie on the floor, I'll just hug myself, bring myself back into the present moment. I'll even tap myself on my head and go, we don't tap into people anymore. We don't see if they're upset with you unless they tell you. It's not your job. Number five is emotional boundaries, very close to emotional addiction. When you have been anxiously attached and you are the one that's scanning, hypervigilant, thinking about everybody else, giving loads, codependent, whatever you want to call it, especially if you're sensitive, kind of empathic person, you're the one that's been that empath in a narcissistic, abusive situation, you have learned to actually feel other people's emotions in your own body, in your nervous system. I didn't realize I was doing this, and it's only been with my husband that I've been like, oh my God, when you're really afraid of money, I can feel it in my body, and then I react from that. And it's not even my emotion, it's actually yours. It's actually totally feeling your body, and you feel your own emotions in your nervous system and not other people. So really dropping in and being like, is this mine or is this somebody else's? And you can do practices like cutting cords. There's loads of meditations on YouTube and to cutting the cords so you don't feel other people's emotions. You can literally imagine a container with just your emotions in it and really tuning into your own body and your own feelings. This is so important for your vibration as well, because if you are basically constantly being emotionally hijacked by other people's emotions, that will affect your frequency. It will kick off a survival behavior within you that will take you down some road over there, and it will take you away from your love. I would feel my husband's fear for money when I first started running my business. It would really scare him because he's very sensible, I should just say, and he just follows a certain path, and I'm like the crazy wild one, like doing what I desire. He would find that really difficult. And what would happen is I would feel his fear so intensely. So I would push and force myself and overgive in the sense of working like an absolute crazy person to earn enough money so that he would feel safe, because I was overgiving and performing for money, for love, and I was not receiving it back in terms of how much I was giving. So I would kind of spend it very quickly. That's like a different video. But that's an example of how these things can hijack us. So really thinking about whose emotional world is living in your body, because that will be holding you back as well. It will be affecting your frequency, it will be affecting your thoughts, it will be affecting your feelings, and it will be affecting your actions. Number six now, this is avoidance. Right? This is a protective mechanism from the nervous system. People that have been working on themselves for a long time and are actually feeling so much better may unconsciously be or sabotaging them, avoiding relationships. I see this a lot in my community where they are longing so much for love, but they're actually terrified of it. They don't trust themselves because am I going to get into another abusive relationship situation? Is it going to be another trauma bond? Oh my God, that feels too stressful. They'll go online or try to date and then they don't get the best experience because your frequency is creating your dating experience. So when you are healthier and you are vibrating at a higher frequency, you have a completely different experience on an app. You are creating that. So that's why people can avoid the love that they want, avoid the thing that they want. So they want to create more money in their lives, but they're avoiding it. They want to have more clients, but they're avoiding it. They want to have friendship and community, but they're avoiding it. I have done this many, many times unconsciously. So I've been like, oh, I really want to expand my business, but I'm doing about 25 things that are actually the absolute opposite of that, because I'm starting to trigger people because I'm becoming more in my power. Where are you avoiding? Be really honest with yourself. If you want to make love happen in 2026, it's not about force or control or just doing. It's about you being the person that totally, fully believes that this is the year where a miracle is going to happen and whatever love that you're calling in is going to be here. But you can't avoid, because what avoidance does is actually it stops you from learning the lesson. Avoided relationships for a really long time because I'd had a bad experience. I'd also lost my dad. I just completely avoided men, nearly 10 years. I was enjoying my life with my friends and I felt a lot healthier in that way. But the minute a guy came, I would start to go a bit crazy. So I completely avoided it. Then I got back into the game, had some bad experiences. What was starting to happen as I was healing was each time I met some guy, he was giving me information. Relationships are mirrors. they are showing you what your nervous system is actually giving off. First, it was addicts and really unavailable men. Then it was a guy that I met that was actually so lovely. And I just was remember going on those dates and being like, I feel absolutely nothing for this person because he is so available. What is wrong with me? And that took me down this rabbit hole of working on my inner child and doing some of this unconscious work that I've been speaking to you about. So I could actually shift that I'm running away from people that are actually available so that when I did meet my husband, I had cleared that wound. When you avoid, you're stopping an opportunity for healing, really. This isn't about perfection. If you're like shaming yourself and things like that and being mean to yourself, or you're afraid of disappointment, because oh my God, what if I'm disappointed? You've got to change the narrative of that, because if you see it as this is part of my journey to be with the one, and or to have a thriving business, or to have the friendships that I long for, then I am going to kiss a few frogs, or, a non-romantic version of that. So avoidance it can become a toxic thing. The thing about anxiously attached, and especially disorganized as well, when you're a bit of a combination of both anxious and avoidant, is that you can go full on with the doing and the forcing, and it can become so unhealthy, so addictive. I had love addiction for a long, long time when it came to men. So then you don't trust yourself. You do the healing work, but then you don't actually know what's my vibration saying now. You don't know until you try. That is just feedback that's coming back to you. So for those of you that have been avoiding, it's time for you to go back in, but go back in with this new frequency and going, what do I want? What don't I want? Where am I going to have boundaries? What am I going to do in this situation? What am I going to do in that situation? It's a massive healing opportunity. And our work does not stop when you get the guy or you get the thing that you want, because holding the thing that you want is the next level of work. When I met my husband, I was terrified of him, quite frankly, because his energy was so unfamiliar to me. So I nearly ran away from him like 100 times. And I had to work on feeling safe with somebody that was able to give me love that I had never experienced before. So my nervous system found that really unfamiliar. And now we've been together for 7 years. We've had things come up during our 7 years. We lost a baby. We also had struggles with fertility. I've been running a business. I've had some health issues, and it's brought up things for us. And neither of us have had healthy examples of conflict, of two people at times wanting different things, and how do they compromise. And my old programming is this the time to run? That's that kind of avoidance. Am I not safe? Because I'm not safe to be me, I'm going to have to go. Rather than, okay, I'm feeling a dysregulation, I'm feeling contraction in my body. Let me give to myself and then communicate to him what this season I'm in, like our relationship changing, us becoming different people, like we're different people to the people that we got together with. That's part of the process as well. I would avoid these things. Very recently, I was avoiding telling him that I didn't like want to live in the house that we live in anymore. And it's a dream house that we bought, but it's just not feeling like the dream house. And he hates change. So I was avoiding telling him that because I didn't want to like stress him out and upset him. And I wasn't being honest with myself. So avoidance is so toxic. Where are you avoiding? Where are you not being honest with yourself about your desires or about your wants? Where are you not taking the action, not enforcing control? Are you taking responsibility for your dreams? Your manifestation of love is a co-creation with the universe. The universe will respond to what you are doing. So I'm not talking about like in a forceful, controlling way, like, I don't know, being on an app for 500 hours or anything like that. I'm not asking you to do that. It's more following your intuition on what the thing could be. Maybe I'll go out more. Maybe I'll just do things that I enjoy. I'll go to different clubs or something. Like I'll go to improv. I'll go to, this is a mixed event with people that are healing. I'll go to that in the sense of I just want to meet people that are more like me. Are you making the effort to connect with people? If you work from home, are you going to like co-working spaces so you can meet other human beings and put yourself in different energy? The very last one is self-concept. You have changed and you are still telling yourself an old story. So, for example, you are no longer the people pleaser. You are no longer the love addict. You are no longer actually attached. Actually, you are securely attached. You are no longer somebody that overgives. You are no longer someone that betrays themselves. Are you still telling yourself an old story and also behaving as that person? I was changing internally, but my self-concept hasn't changed. So I was being the same person in friendships and things and in my business, and it was actually making me feel really unwell and I couldn't really understand. And it's because of the self concept. I actually had to take some time and go, these are the old stories of who I am, and this is who I am now. Yeah, I was a victim of all this childhood stuff. And yeah, I was anxiously attached and I had complex PTSD and all these things. But that actually isn't who I am. I'm in post traumatic growth. I'm an empowered woman. I'm living a life in alignment with my heart and soul. I am in my power. This is when affirmations are really great, but in a really embodied way through action. What are you actually doing? What's the self concept? I'm just talking to a client today, and she was saying, I keep telling myself this story. That was the old story. That's who you used to be. So we become our own leaders by actually saying, hey, sweetheart, that's not who you are anymore. This is who you are now. This is who you were before, but this is who you are now. And by the way, who you are now is whoever you decide to be in this moment, how you think, feel, and act like her or him. You can make that decision right now when you stop this video. And all of these things, all of these 7 things I've spoken about, shift your frequency because they're changing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. There is so much information about manifestation and trauma out there. So we're very aware of the patterns, but we're not shifting reality. And I truly believe that's because we are still leaking so much energy in these very covert, like very subtle ways. And that is what's creating our reality. And then we get really frustrated and heartbroken because it's not here and we're not being chosen. We're not actually choosing ourselves by cleaning this energy up, by reclaiming your life force and directing it where you want it to go. Let this be the year that you fully focus on making your dreams come true by cleaning up all the ways that you betray, abandon, people please, are anxious about relationships, because those are all energy drains. If you need any help at all, I'm opening back up my one-to-one slots. So there'll be an application in the episode notes, or you can email me at manpriya@heartshappiness.co.uk. I haven't done one-to-one work for ages, but I'm feeling really inspired because I'm sort of coming full circle to these topics again. I did them years ago, 5 years ago when I started my business, but after being on the very intense embodiment journey, I just have so much to share. And I feel like people really need help in actually moving across to what they want rather than this constant healing phase that we've been in, which is exhausting. There is also my community, It Ends With Me, and you will find all of the steps in there. How to heal your inner child, how to empower yourself as an adult, all the tools that you need, and then how you consciously create your reality by changing your frequency on all levels. Not just mindset, it's emotional, it's mental, it's physical, it's all of the things. And those details are below as well. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you're listening to me on YouTube, or send me an email about any realizations you had, because the more we can bring out those shadows of the weird shit that we do, the more that we can just normalize them, the more we can laugh at them. I have been loving this Christmas Lily Allen's album. She's from the UK, and she is talking about her own shadow patterns, her own trauma bond marriage that she had, all the things she knew was wrong, but she was staying in the relationship because those are what she now can see. Her nervous system could not see them before, but now her nervous system can, and she's choosing to heal through music, which I love. So that's why sharing, by having community through this is so important, which is why I've created It Ends With Me, where we basically can message every single day about these patterns that we're noticing, how we're letting them go, what we're bringing instead. And we also meet 2 or 3 times a month. See you in the community or in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.